right, welcome back everyone to another one of the Private Dentist Alliance weekly webinars. Again, for those of you just now joining us, these are our Tuesday night webinars that we do on Eastern Standard Time. I hope everyone is doing well. Today we have another one of our strategic partners from Dentometrics, Mr. Barak Granot here. He is like I said, the owner of the digital marketing agency Dentometrics. He's also a best-selling author, and as of 2009, he's been doing dental marketing, and he's established himself as one of the leading voices in the field. He also, for those of you on the Private Dentist Alliance, is a current member. Thank you so much for your membership. Mr. Granot serves as the marketing board advisor. So thank you so much for being with us here, Barak. How are you this evening?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So we talked a little bit earlier about what we were going to talk about tonight. Can you kind of walk our listeners through what we'll be discussing on this webinar this evening? I believe it was mistakes made by practitioners in marketing.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. See, I've been working with dentists for over a decade, actually, over a dozen years. And that's something that came around quite a bit. Certain mistakes that I've noticed that both new dentists that, just trying to establish their practice are doing, and also veterans, people that have an established practice, basically cost them a lot of resources by doing those mistakes. And I summarized it, and actually, before the first event of the Private Dentist Alliance that we had, I created this booklet, and I allowed some people to download it, to download the PDF of it or something like that. And I got good responses for that. And I wanted to basically share that here in a video form, because it's, for some people, it's easier to consume.
That's awesome.
I do have a presentation. I can share my screen and we can start with that.
That will be perfect.
Okay, let me just do that here. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Here we go. So yeah, this is the booklet that I've written, the top 5 mistakes dentists make in marketing their practice. And that's a very important subject, because as business owners, as dentists, you're not in the field of dentistry. You're in the field of marketing your dentistry business, basically. Okay, so you can run it, and if that hat is not being done, then the business will die. That's how it is. Okay, so that's a very important part or facets of whatever you do. I'm not saying you don't have to do, you should neglect doing a good job as a dentist, but if you are excellent, but the marketing is not being done, the business will not take off. So I have this free report if you want it. Some of you, took advantage of it. Some of you did not yet. So you can go to dentometrics.com/report and download it. And this is totally free. And you can have what we are discussing here, maybe in a different form. And now, like I said, marketing is the lifeblood of any business. Without marketing, without sales, nothing can happen, basically. If you don't have the resources to build yourself up, then it doesn't matter how good you are technically, you will not survive. That's the cold fact about that. And I created this report basically to single out the top 5 mistakes that when you do them as a dentist, you're losing patients, you're losing revenue, or don't make enough, what you should or entitled to, basically, and you lose a lot of precious time. Okay, so that's why this is important to go over that. Just a brief overview about me. Thank you for the introduction. I'm just going through, because some of you do not know me. I'm the owner of Dentometrics, dental marketing agency. I'm a best-selling author. of this book, Attract Better Patients. I'm a speaker, a dental marketing strategist. I've spoken dental conventions. I've been featured on CNN, Huffington Post, and several other places. Here are some from Fox News, CBS, ABC, and so on. I'm an advisory board member, along, in charge of the marketing, and I've worked with Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington, Magic Johnson, and a lot of other people outside of dentistry as well. But the topic of what we're talking about now is the top 5 mistakes dentists make in marketing their practice. And without further ado, I'm going to jump in and cover those. Now, the first mistake is not doing marketing or not doing enough marketing. And like I said, this is the lifeblood of any business. But I've seen that happening a lot more than I would have expected. So a lot of times when I was invited to speak, when I was in Los Angeles, for example, I was regularly invited to speak in dental associations, dental conventions, and so on. And each time after my talk, I had a line of people waiting to pick my brain or to schedule a call with me or even to speak with me on the floor. And I was amazed to see how many dentists are not really making it. But one thing that was common to all those that had problems is that they were not doing marketing. And this was, I couldn't imagine that it is so prevalent, and that I wanted to take that as the first mistake. So now it's not doing marketing at all, or doing so little that it doesn't really move any needle. Okay, so that's one thing. Another aspect of it was when you have a certain level, managing by a little bit of marketing, and you could be basically here. So you're basically leaving money on the table, or basically not getting the extra profit after you paid all the overhead that would make you happier, who can achieve more of your, what you should. And I'm gonna give some example. Just don't remember. Okay, this is something that as a homeowner, for long years I learned that if you don't water the grass, it will die. The same thing with marketing. If you don't invest in your business, the business will die. And I have a lot of examples to give. 3 of them that come to mind is, first is a dentist who is, I consider as a friend, that I tried to help him with marketing, and I did a lot of stuff for free for him, but he never had the willingness to actually do, pay for something. He never paid me anything. So it was never something permanent. And after a while, he started having some problem paying rent and making payroll and other things. And then marketing was even more impossible for him to do. So what I'm saying is that you can reach a certain point that afterwards it's even harder to do, because then you don't have the money to pay for good marketing. I remember after I was not in touch with him for a few years, I moved to a different state, to Florida. And I called him and said, how are you doing? And he said 2 words that really affected me. He said, I'm starving. Now, I don't think it was literally starving, but the business was basically having a lot of trouble. And he started going to companies that would promise him the moon for the budget he could afford. But basically, they just stabbed him in the back, because you couldn't reach those things with so little money. I had, that's one person. Another person I spoke with, a dentist from New Jersey, that he said basically he didn't do any marketing, and then his practice started to decline up to a point that his competitor was starting to get all the patients and he was left behind. Now to catch up, he didn't have enough money basically to now compete with them. I think that will do as regards to examples. The point is that you can go to a certain point that it will be harder for you to fix the problem that was incurred by not doing a regular job of good marketing. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does. It does. Yeah. If you don't, like you were saying, if you don't invest in your business, you're going to be either dead in the water, stale, or not be able to cross that next threshold. There's always that, okay, how do I expand? How do I grow? Well, if you're not willing to invest in your own self, how do you expect to see a return?
Exactly. And you cannot really expect what's going to happen. Another dentist from Phoenix, Arizona, I spoke with, and he was doing okay. He had a very small practice, but he didn't want more than that. It was, it was very small. I was like, at the beginning, I was like, are you making any living out of that? But it was like, yeah, I'm modest and that's okay with me. And I don't need more than that. And that's fine. However, what was the problem? He was in a plaza, like a shopping center, whatever, and the city decided to renovate that place, and he had to move. He had to basically to move, but he didn't have enough money to move and start to establish himself well in another location. So it was basically a death penalty for him. He couldn't really get things going. If he had good marketing done, then he would have those followers that he could basically keep with him. He'd have enough money, aside to do any emergency changes like that. Okay, now it's not only for those people that have hard time making it. I have a dentist in California that was making quite a good living. He was about 2.5 millions a year or something like that. But when we did good marketing for him, even if it was small, and I'm going to touch a little bit about that, we did some positioning for him, and he increased by about $1 million per year extra without doing any marketing. So we
Wow.
did a one-time thing for him, and he's now earning an extra million a year without any change of marketing at all. So he's not currently doing anything different. So it's basically, that's what I mean by leaving money on the table. So marketing is very important. And like everything is, you will always find somebody that can do it cheaper. So just make sure that you're not just covering yourself like putting $100 a month and say, hey, I've done marketing. That's not going to be enough. Don't, it's an investment. You're doing that for your business, like you expect your patients to invest in their own health, basically. So that's the first mistake. The second mistake is using a bad website, and I've seen that happening so many times. I would be remiss if I would not mention that. There is another partner in our Private Dentist Alliance that specializes in websites, but I do want to cover that. Now, what does it mean, bad websites? Now, here are some things on bad websites that we see. Some bad websites we see are poorly designed. Like, for example, they don't have the user interference in a good way, or they don't look, nice or something like that. If it's not designed well, it will also be bad for your ranking. And I'm going to touch that a little bit because it's not only that, but just one thing is being poorly designed. They're not standing out, like being like a duplicate of any other website. It's not like standing out, not unique. Having a wrong message, like portraying you as let's say, a cheap dentist or something like that, where you want to cater to more patients that can afford like higher value services or something like that. Or maybe it's a different audience, families, if you want. The website should communicate to that. Maybe people that are busy and working, and you can accommodate different hours. Well, you should have the message through your website. Some websites are poorly coded in a way that inhibit SEO, search engine optimization. So then you don't rank. Some are old and outdated, and some are just plain ugly. Okay, so those are bad websites that we see. And I'll give you a personal example. I moved to Florida, and I was looking for a dentist, a general dentist, because I I had dental implants. I had to have crowns. My wife needed crowns and dental after dental implants and some other things. So it was quite, I wanted to make sure that I'm getting the right person. And I got a name of somebody. Um, and when I reached his website, it looked very old. It was like, um, I don't know, 10 years old website or something like that. It looks like very, very old and outdated. And when I saw that, I didn't call him. So I was basically looking for somebody else, and because it means, on a subconscious level, it tells something about the person. Like I was thinking, or at least it creates some kind of like a perception that may not be true. Like I was thinking that if his website is like that, probably he has like old equipment, maybe cheap stuff. If he's not putting money on his website, or how it looks, maybe he's not keeping himself up to date. A lot of things that can happen in somebody's mind, even if I'm in this business and know that it's not always like that. I only called him after a friend of mine went to him and she told me it was good. So I gave him basically another chance. But I just want to say that it creates a certain preconception about you. And that's the first thing that somebody sees before they come. And I would like to say something else, is like there are a lot of things that can be wrong. You cannot do, let's say you don't do SEO and you don't rank, or you don't have good reputation, and you don't market yourself so people don't get your message. But all those things, if they are done, they're pushing the patients to the website. So that's your gateway. That's a hub that if you don't have that, then that affects everything. Now, a big mistake that I've seen happening a lot of times is using a template website. That is like something like Pro Sites or Online Practice, PBHS. Those companies that offer you a ready-made website. You just choose a template. You mark the services that you provide. Let's say dental implants and veneers, emergency dentistry, and so on. You mark it and it auto-populates. You just upload your logo and some pictures and you have a website within 30 minutes or so. And that's very easy, but that's not so good. I mean, the pros for that is that it's very fast to start. You have a website very fast. But the cons is that it is bad for SEO. You don't stand out because you have a website that is very similar to a lot of other dentists that have the same thing. You don't have a blog or something like that, so you cannot have a content management strategy that will have you rank well, reach patients, communicate to them in their own language and stuff like that. You will have a slow website, and you won't have any control on any changes that you might have, because they won't write a code specifically for you. In some cases, they even take control of your domain, so that if you want to move afterwards, PBHS, and I'm not sure, but maybe DDS.com, but for sure PBHS, they will not release your domain. So you basically give them control on your name. So, that's a very big mistake to have. A website is something that you should own eventually. That's what I think it should be. And that's it. So you should go to somebody that can build you a custom website. It should have a certain things that you should have in the website. Should be, first of all, and this is in the order of priority, it has to be SEO friendly, meaning it has to rank. Otherwise, you can have, it's like having the best business card, but you're not allowed to give it away and you have to keep it in the drawer. Nobody should see that. So if it's not SEO friendly, if it's not ranking, then it doesn't matter, and nothing else matters, basically. Next, it needs to be converting. And by that, I mean that if patients are seeing the website, they should take action by either calling you, coming to your office, writing you a message, asking for an appointment or something like that. If they are watching the website and move away, then the website is not effective. There is no point of keeping it. The third thing is it has to be appealing. I mean, if the website should look nice. I mean, but this is the last thing here. I personally prefer to have something effective, even if it is ugly, as long as it doesn't work. You know, that's the last thing I care about is how it works. It needs to work correctly. Any questions, Cole?
No, I think that's very good advice, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Honestly, the way you're laying it out makes a lot of sense, and it's nice that you don't just jump to you want something beautiful and pretty. That was a good sentiment about it. Doesn't matter how it really looks. That's the least important of the three factors that you mentioned. You want to make sure it works and that it truly is going to get you leads. I mean, that's the big thing.
Exactly. Now, yeah, it's a lot of time. A lot of times we have these conversations because some patients say, "Yeah, I want to have a slider that moves here and that, and I saw this website. Have a look." And those things can hurt your ranking, can hurt your SEO, can make your website slower, and therefore some people on mobile will just click through. They will not wait for it. So it has to be effective first. Afterwards, appealing. It needs to be appealing, but it is the last thing if it is effective. Now, I want to say again, we have a partner in the Private Dentist Alliance that is doing websites, and I urge you to ask them for a quote if you need help. But whatever you do, so this is not for me to kind of like toot my horn or something like that. Whatever you do, when you're creating a website, just communicate with your SEO company, with whoever is taking care of your SEO, and have them work with a website designer, because again, a lot of things can be done right the first time. Otherwise, you're going to spend money twice making the website better in terms of SEO or user experience, or maybe even branding and positioning. Okay, so just make sure you coordinate that with your whoever is your SEO provider. Okay. Next mistake number 3 is selling yourself cheap, or your services, your whatever you are doing, your practice. Selling yourself cheap is something that I've seen quite a bit, and a lot of times it's because the marketing people are pushing it. It's easier to get leads if you are promoting something on a discount, but it makes you basically attract maybe not the patients you want to attract. And I will cover that in a previous webinar, but it's I'm gonna rush through it pretty fast. From 12 years I'm doing dental marketing, I've seen 2 groups of patients. The first group is those people who are bargain shoppers. They will look for the best deal, the cheapest price, and so on. They will not be loyal to you, because as soon as they see the dentist across the street having a promotion on cleaning, they will just move over. Okay, they don't like to invest much on oral health, and they will not necessarily follow your recommendation because they think that you just want to make money on top of on their backs, basically. So they always think, I don't want to spend that. Maybe he's saying that because he wants to buy a new car for his son or something like that. Those are the kind of thing that sometimes those people have in mind. And every dentist can recognize some of the patients that fall in this group. Group number 2 are people that prefer quality. They prefer quality over price. Even they appreciate somebody who is a professional. They know what it takes to be a professional. They're loyal. Usually they will stay with you as long as you practice, for as long as until they move or die. And they will, in actual fact, spending 3 times as much on dentistry compared to the first group. Those are actual numbers. So this is group number 1, group number 2. And the problem is that you cannot have both. You have to decide which one you want, because when you market to one group, those things that you say, those things that people conceive of you, deter the other group. So if you are basically the bargain dentist, the one that will get them the cheapest price or something like that, those people that prefer quality will shy away from you. If you are if you appear to be for those people, again, for your audience, if you appear to be the one that is the best dentist in town or something like that, those people that are looking for bargains, they won't even try to go to you, because hey, you're the best, you probably your prices are the highest. Okay, so those are the two things, and your marketing should be one or the other. If it's not, it's confusing, and then you lose both. But I've seen dentists that make very good practice from group number one or group number two. I've seen a dentist, for example, somebody from New York, I spoke with him, and he's making a lot of profit from running an HMO based practice, but he's rushing people through. He doesn't give them the service he knows they need. He doesn't sleep well at night, basically. And the patients actually complain about that. But in order to make a profit, he needs to have volume, and he needs to rush them like in a factory. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Does.
So it's just, it depends how you want to, you basically position yourself in a certain way. When you're doing bargains and stuff like that, you fall into one group, and you will, if you want those fee for service patients that are very, that do appreciate quality, that will want, even that will be willing to pay more for quality. Like I when I needed implants, I went to somebody that charged me 40% more, but I knew that he's the best in his field in bone grafting and stuff like that, because it was number 2 and 3, and I wanted to make sure that it's totally perfect. So he was the expert. I was willing to come to him, even if it would have been farther away and more money. Those are the type of patients that you want, but you'll position yourself in everything you do, with your website, with your promotion, with everything. So that's mistake number 3. I'll stop here to let you ask me anything and get a
No,
breather.
I think that's very smart that you can't kind of go for, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't try to just cast the net out there and market to everyone, hoping to get every single one of the patient populations. You have to, like you were saying, come to this crossroads and figure out, where do I necessarily want to align myself to be effective? Because sure, you can try to market to all these different groups, but then, like you were saying, your marketing seems a little choppy. It's not as pretty. It's not as cohesive, and you're not truly targeting one group that is going to benefit you in the long run.
Yes, and this is something that when you speak with, I know that you have some calls with dentists that are very successful, to learn from them. And you see that those successful dentists are usually defined their audience quite well. And when you're trying, because basically everybody has teeth, you can go and service everybody. But when you have defined, when you're branding yourself, basically appear in a certain level to some people, as the dentist for them, you will attract them a lot. I mean, they will just not consider anybody else. Like, we have a dentist in our group from Philadelphia that is built his practice around people that are busy, that are working, that need somebody to be able to service them on weekends and late, like evenings or early mornings and stuff like that. And then that attracts them a lot more than, now some dentists are, for families, maybe family friendly, like bring your kids, that's okay, and stuff like that. Not necessarily pedodontists or pediatric dentistry, but it's like more for families. Some are, it's like, some people are more for the older population, some are for young. It's just, when you brand yourself in some way, you attract them a lot better. But this is like a little bit different. This is just the bargain shoppers and the quality seekers, okay? And that you should have your marketing built in a correct way. Mistake number 4 can cost you a lot of money. This is hiring someone who is not HIPAA certified. Now, this is something that nobody speaks about. And frankly, there are very, very few marketing agencies that are HIPAA certified. I am one, so I know how important it is. But most marketing people are not, because you as a dentist or as a student of dentistry know how important it is, because you have courses about that and see courses about that, and you know what it means. And most people do not even know, outside of medical field, do not even know how to spell HIPAA, okay, let alone what all the regulations are. And marketing these days are not what it used to be. It is a lot more personalized. And as a marketer, I'm more exposed to names, emails, phone numbers, etc. I mean, marketing is not like just putting a billboard or a sign anymore and counting on word of mouth. That's what it used to be. So it didn't matter so much. But these days you have social media and you're exposed to patients' profiles. You're exposed to, you're doing a campaign, you collect email addresses and phone numbers sometimes, and names, and even the services they're interested in. So that's a medical condition. Now, even if you have like, the name of somebody without knowing their medical history, that's a HIPAA violation if you're not certified. So every incident like that is a violation. Every violation, if I'm exposed, for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say I have a client in California, and we wanted to do some Facebook work for them. And Facebook allows you to take a list of patients and upload it, and then they find a profile you can market to them. You can show them certain messages, like, for example, end of the year, don't forget to use your insurance benefits, or something like that. Or maybe you want to have all the lost patients that didn't come in the last 18 months, and you want them to see a certain message. You can basically have that also uploaded. So I got a list of 3,000 people that I could upload, and Facebook finds them by their name and phone number and email address, and they could identify, let's say, 2,000 of them. But those 3,000 people, each one of them is a single violation. It's basically 3,000 violations. If I wasn't HIPAA certified. Now, the 2013 HIPAA Omnibus rule established that fines up to $1.5 million per incident could be charged to a practice. So that is not something that practices have lying around in the petty cash drawer, I can tell you. This is something that can wreck a business. Now, this is for one incident. If it happens twice a year, that's $3 million, okay? So let me give you some examples of violations. Or maybe I'll give you another example, like aside from that. I was working with a dentist from Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, and we ran a campaign for Invisalign. So in a period of a week, we got about 30 names and email addresses of patients that raised their hand and said, I want that. They knew the price. It's around $5,000. So it's quite lucrative to run a campaign like that, obviously. But again, if I was not a HIPAA certified, that's 30 violations. And I'm going to show you how much it's going to cost. Another thing is, if we have a phone, like a call recorded line, because you want to see that staff are answering correctly, maybe some calls are being missed and you want to have the person called again or something like that. Again, if I am exposed to that and I'm not HIPAA certified, that's on the business, on the dentist. Now, the way it goes is, if I'm not HIPAA certified, I will not be hurt as a marketing agency, because they do not expect me to know even that I need to be certified. But they expect the dentist and the practice to be aware of all the HIPAA regulations, so that 100% of the responsibility is on the dentist. Okay, so make sure that you work with a HIPAA certified marketing agency. Here are some fine amounts, and you can see if you didn't know, for example, if somebody hacked your computer and it was correctly protected and stuff like that, and you didn't know that they got some data from that, you might get, you know, between $100 to $50,000 per incident, per violation, per name, per patient, up to 1.5 million.
Wow.
If it's a reasonable cause, 1,000 to 50,000. If it's a willful neglect, but it is corrected, you contacted all those patients and let them know that you had a breach and stuff like that, and you made it good. It's between 10,000 to 15,000. But if you did not correct it, that's 50,000 per violation. Now, if you know about HIPAA and you are actually letting somebody in to your mail list, or letting somebody in to your Facebook account, whatever it is, and they are exposed, that's a willful neglect, because you know you've been doing courses and stuff like that. So like 30 names, for example, that I collected on a campaign, let's say even if it was $10,000 for incident, that's $300,000. That makes it not viable at all. Now, it's not been enforced as much as other things, but you cannot let chance do that. I mean, here are some examples of companies that did get fines: 4.3 million, 1.7 million, 1.5 million. Here, like third from the bottom, returned photocopiers without erasing the hard drives. That's $1.2 million. So this is not a joke. This is something that can bankrupt a dentistry. So make sure that whoever you work with is HIPAA certified. And I'm saying that is one that is. Mistake number 5. Do you have any questions, Cole, before I start?
No, I think that was very straightforward. Unfortunately, that's a a very grim statement to talk about there, about all the violations. And I mean, just kind of the gravity of the situation. It's very serious. It's not something to take lightly. Just like anybody you do business with, we talked about previously on our other recording about, you don't go to someone simply because you like them and because you know them. You go to somebody simply because you trust them, first of all, and you need to be able to trust the people that you work with. So you need to truly go to somebody that you can trust, that's going to protect you as the dentist, because you know that violating HIPAA is no joke. And you need to know that they know that as well.
Yes, and I can tell you one of the roots for the problem is that, you see, you as a dentist are going to dental school, and you're gonna pass board exams and stuff like that, and you get licensed. And if you do bad things, you're gonna get your license revoked. You have to abide by certain rules. There is somebody watching you. There's somebody that told you it's okay for you to practice on patients. But for marketers, there is nothing like that. Anybody can put a shingle on the door saying, "Yeah, I'm doing dental marketing." And a lot of marketers started working with other fields, like, for example, plumbers or HVAC or lawyers that don't have the regulations that dentists do. They don't think about that. So that's why you have to choose carefully. I've seen a lot, for example, this is something that is a little bit different. There are a lot of marketers that are pushing to promote a certain client as best dentist, like, for example, best dentist in Dallas. Okay, because this is a search term that people sometimes search. Patients are searching best dentist in Phoenix or whatever the city they are in. But as a dentist, you cannot say something like that about yourself. This is a laudatory remark or something like that. That's how it is phrased. You cannot basically claim any superiority in the service that you provide. Okay, and that can get you a big problem with the board. But marketers don't know that. With plumbers, it is okay to say that. With HVAC contractors, It is okay to do that, even with lawyers, but you cannot say that as a medical professional. And again, that can get you in trouble. So that's why I'm saying that's one of the things that you have to make sure that you don't just hire anyone just because he's saying he's doing marketing. Dental marketers are different. Within the people that just specialize with dentistry, only a very small portion are HIPAA certified. Very small portion. Let's move to mistake number 5, which is marketing before positioning. And again, this is something that is hardly being discussed, because you hire a marketing agency, then you start doing marketing. That's it. That's what is expected. Now, I had an article about that, and afterwards in the comments or in the description, I can put a link to that. This is an article that appeared on Huffington Post. I had the honor to be invited to write it. This is Huffington Post is not just for dentists, but I gave some examples from dentists because that's what I do. I only work with dentists on marketing. So the article is called "Marketing Without This Step is Like Burning Your Money Away." And that step is actually positioning. I'm going to explain, but first of all, let's get some definitions. Now, marketing is defined differently in different dictionaries. There is no one definition, but all of them have the same concept, which is putting your service or product in front of qualified patients so that, or clients or customers, so that you can sell to them. Okay? Again, marketing, you have your service basically in front of those people. And usually if it's done in a good way, it's very easy for the sell is very easy now. Okay? This in general, this is marketing. Now let's define public relations. We spoke about public relations in one of the previous webinars. Public relations is basically creating a positive opinion or perception about you from the public as a whole or your target market. It is not about convincing someone to buy something, which is sales or sometimes marketing, depends how you define it. But basically getting the people, quote unquote, potential patients, for example, think good of you, have good opinion about you, even existing patients, having people think good of you. Okay, makes sense?
Total sense.
Okay, good. Now, positioning can be viewed as a form of public relations aimed to have your brand occupy a distinct position relative to competing brands in the mind of consumers. So, for example, so they compare you as a dentist to other dentists. Like, yeah, he's more, he's better with kids. He is a high-end dentist. He is the dentist in the plaza, whatever it is, it's kind of like all sorts of perceptions that position you in a certain way, to good and bad. So you basically can create that opinion by positioning you compared to others. And again, this is one aspect of public relations. Let me give you some examples. So let's say a dentist is showing a patient's x-rays and basically telling him, look, you have this cavity and it's too big. We need to have a crown here. It's going to cost you $1,500 or $1,000 or $1,800, whatever it is, the price. This is selling. Okay, this is the actually selling. And sometimes when I explain to people, I tell them, when you're talking about yourself or the actual product, service, whatever it is done, this is sales. If you're talking about the patient or the client, whatever it is, and their problems, that's marketing. That's sales, that's marketing. If you're creating a certain opinion about yourself, that's public relations. Okay, makes sense? Because I know that some people get confused with that, especially when it's not your field. So Just getting somebody to pay for a crown, that's selling. Doing SEO, search engine optimization, building a new website, getting postcards out, getting a promotion or Facebook ads or whatever, getting a certain message, for example, of new patient special, we get extra exam and cleaning for so much, whatever. Or just even saying, we're now accepting new patients, call us here. This is all marketing. This is getting the word out. Having a news story about a community service the doctor did to help a local school, this is public relations. And here I have a little bit more examples just because a lot of people don't have the concept. Promoting an interview with a dentist, with the dentist on a local radio station. Maybe he was invited as an expert. Okay, so that's one thing. Promoting a new book about dentistry, like the dentist is an author of a new book, or announcing the doctor was chosen as a top dentist in their city, whatever. This is all authority positioning. And I have this color coded so it will be easy to see. You have sales, marketing, public relations, authority positioning. All of them are important. But the thing is that if you do the marketing without having public relations and positioning, you're basically missing out quite a bit. It's not that it's not going to work. That's what most people do. But you're missing a lot of your money basically goes to waste. And the reason is because when you start marketing and basically start getting messages to people, automatically what happens is they're putting a bulletproof vest protecting them because and he's trying to sell me something. Okay, so people are just intimidated by that, and they automatically go into defense. It is very similar to you going into a store and the seller there asks you, do you need any help? And you say no, even though you probably do, but most people will say, no, that's okay, I'm just looking. Okay, because they want to basically, don't want to have another person sell to them. So when you're doing marketing, you're trying to get across despite those protective mechanisms that people have. And if you're just doing marketing and they don't know you yet, you're just another dentist trying to sell them something. And that's why when you sit across from them for a consultation, especially for an elective service procedure, you will have a hard time. But if they already think that think of you as the expert, that you know what you're talking about, and then you start marketing to them, they will accept it with open arms. They will accept your messages. It's like basically otherwise, it is like opening the mail over the trash can for all the junk stuff. That's what people are doing. So similarly, when they get your messages, if it's somebody they know, they think highly of, even if you're not their provider yet, but they heard your name and in a good connotation, they are more willing to listen to you, and then your marketing message will be more effective. So your marketing dollars will drive you a longer distance. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? I know.
No, it does. It does. It totally makes sense. It's, if you just market, you're just another fish in the pond. They're, like you were saying, just like the marketers, anyone can throw a shingle up and practice dentistry. Any dentist that has graduated dental school can hang a shingle up and start practicing dentistry. It doesn't mean that they were top of their class. They could have been bottom of their class too. Even the bottom student in the class graduates. If you don't position yourself as the one that strived to perfection, to doing well, I see it now in my own school. I know there are those of us that are hungry, that really want to provide great service and quality expectation. And then there are those that I'm sure other dentists can agree, same in their school. They're in the C's get degrees mentality. I just passed. Hey, I passed. And
Yeah.
the sad part is all the dentists listening to this know this. There are dentists out there that they were your classmates. They're practicing dentistry today. And patients don't know that. They don't know how to differentiate one from another unless there has been positioning in place that shows just how much this dentist was committed to striving towards clinical excellence, great patient outcomes, and is going to provide you with quality service. Not just previously, like you'd shown that picture of the tattoo artist drawing a picture, something related to dentistry in their mouth, something that's actually going to last a long time.
Exactly. And like you say, patients don't know much. They don't understand anything about CE courses. You know, you'll have a lot of letters on your name. It doesn't mean anything for them. They just know DDS or DMD. You know, that's one thing. They don't understand anything about CE courses. They You show them before and afters. They don't know the differences. They don't know what's complicated and what's easy. Okay, they say, oh wow, that looks better, but might be just slapping some veneers up. Anybody can do that. Maybe that's the lab that is good, but that's not a complicated stuff. But you'll show them something that is very complicated, they won't even understand why. You see, so that's not even the website. Everybody can get a good website or nice websites. The stuff that triggers people is something that can be. You're gonna get some examples there. But I'm going to give you an example that is outside of dentistry regarding what you said about top of the class or something like that. With personal injury lawyers, I live in around Clearwater, actually in Dunedin, Florida. There is one lawyer that is like promoting everywhere, buses and stuff like that, and he's promoting himself, positioning himself as a Harvard graduate, Harvard law graduate, something like that. So now he's not a spring chicken. He's in his 50s. He has gray hair and a little bit balding, if I remember correctly. He's not just graduate, but he's riding on this glory for this time, and a lot of people will come there. It's effective. He's spending a ton of money on that because it's effective, because people have this high regard for that. That positions him as well. He must be very good if he was accepted and graduated from Harvard. Okay, another big one, a big firm, personal injury. They position themselves as, hey, we are the biggest in the country. Okay, Morgan and Morgan, the biggest in the country. So that's kind of like another positioning. So again, that's kind of like those are some examples how that creates a certain level of positioning, that when you start marketing, people are open up to see what you have to say. So, and again, in one example, and I'm gonna show some examples of, you know what? Let me save that example for the next slide. We're gonna give you some examples of how we can build those authority positioning. One is having the best reputation. I had a client that the numbers of review, because that's one of the things that I do. Number of reviews they had by far was exceeding everybody else in their city. So that created that's the go-to places. Like going to two restaurants, one of them has a line of people and one of them is empty. You see, that's a social proof that has something is fishy with the other guys if that guy gets everybody. Educate. That's one of the things that you have to educate all the time. You have to educate by having articles on your website. That's why you have to have a blog, by the way. I mentioned that before. When you become the educator, you become the authority. You have to have omnipresence. That's a big word. What it means is that you appear to be everywhere. They open Facebook and they see you. They open YouTube and they see you. They are Googling a dentist and you are on top. When you are everywhere, that creates your authority. And by the way, that's the personal injury lawyers. That's why they do that. News appearance. If you are invited to the news or you appeared on ABC or Fox or something like that, that creates a certain authority for yourself. If you publish a book, of course, you are an authority. And by the way, I gave an example before about the dentist in California that was doing pretty good as a solo dentist, one dentist, not without associates, doing 2.5 million a year, mostly with dental implants. and we got a book for him, and he started giving the book away in a consultation. And the book, I mean, it says on it bestseller and stuff like that, and he was basically showing testimonials from that book, the same testimonials he was showing before on the monitor. um, but now he started giving away the book, and the people held the book, show his picture there, and it's like, whoa. And he got people signing up left and right and willing to pay just to save their place right away. Can I pay you 50,000 now so we can start? Can I pay you in full? Can you fit me in faster? And he made an extra $1 million just by adding that. He didn't change any. We were supposed to start marketing, but then his practice just made so much money. He told me, look, I won't be able to handle anybody now. I'm getting an associate and stuff like that. Then we can handle that. And that's just by writing a book. Similar one from Tennessee, started having people driving 3 hours to get to him just because he wrote a book. And they told him, I saw that you wrote a best-selling book. I want you to handle me. I won't trust anybody else. A guy from Arizona, sorry, not Arizona, El Paso, Texas, on the border of New Mexico, had two practices, a specialist periodontist. He started seeing people that were coming to him for consultation. This is something that people like to postpone. They don't think about the gums so much. So he had like 50% signing up. Other 50 want to think about that, want to get a second opinion. It's not everybody. But he started giving his book away, and he said not a single person I gave the book didn't sign up. Just because of that. That's the only thing he changed. Because now he became an authority. So that's an important thing to have. That's kind of like the last mistake that I'm saying is jumping in and doing marketing before you position yourself, or you should actually do that while you do that, and your website should position you, your reviews should position you, and so on. Okay, any other question? That's the last mistake I wanted to cover.
No, I think that's been excellent. I think, we really have kind of delved upon some things that everyone can kind of chew on for a little bit and to start thinking about. And I think this will gear us up to, we had talked about previously about our next talk and our next webinar, focusing that one more towards students about, kind of gearing themselves up and getting themselves ready to jump feet first. I've now graduated. I'm ready to open my practice, or I'm ready to start doing marketing. What do I need to do to get my ducks in a row? And I think this is a great starting point for them to kind of get their brains working that, okay, these are the things that I need to keep in mind, especially I think the most important is the HIPAA compliant marketer. I think that is so key and something I didn't even think about myself. And I think a dental student that's watching this can draw some serious benefits from that. Make sure you're dealing with a professional and somebody that's going to be looking out for your license and helping you.
Yes, and I've seen a lot of young dentists that are actually just bought a practice soon after they graduated, something like that, with some money or whatever. But they are taking into account all those steps. I've seen somebody in my area. I wasn't his patient, but when I was looking for a dentist, I ran across to him. It was like, whoa, that's a big dentistry. But I saw that he was just graduated like 4 years ago, and but he was doing the marketing so well that he was. And I know that it's not necessarily showing that he's a better dentist. I'm not saying anything bad about him. He may be a good dentist or not. I don't know. But you see, because I'm doing marketing, I can see through that more than other people that don't. It's like I used to, I love to say that it's like when you're a kid and you see a magic show, and it's like, whoa, and everything is so amazing. But then when you go behind the scene and see how it is done or learn the magic, it's not so, it doesn't have this magic. But most people will still be amazed, right? So having good marketing doesn't necessarily mean that it automatically makes you a better dentist. But without that, you cannot succeed. I don't know how to say that. A lot of dentists I spoke with, when they asked me to come over and consult with me to get my services, a lot of them were like, I don't understand. I'm doing a lot better job than that dentist across the street. So I don't understand how come he's getting all the patients and in our practice or not. That's kind of like a very big frustration. It's like we fixing his mistakes. He's doing, how come people come to him? They don't understand that. And that's all about marketing. So if you want to craft this message to graduates, is always think about that. Think about the marketing. I know that you do. I know that you're thinking about that because you're asking questions. You're interviewing people. You're asking what made you succeed and stuff like that. You're not just going there and saying, well, I'll take it wherever the wind will take me. So just having that in mind and knowing that it won't happen by itself. You have to invest in it in order to make it grow. And I know that some dentists will, and maybe I should have said that at the beginning, because some dentists will want to do that, to do the marketing by themselves. It's a do-it-yourself thing, and I will have some videos showing how to get reviews, showing how to do this and that and so on. That's for some people, it will be good. But for most dentists, they don't want to do that because it keeps changing. It's a full-time job. So you usually hire somebody to do it. And that's why I came up with those 5 mistakes, because usually you will hire somebody to do it for you. So you need to know how to know if that person is good for you or not. Are they speaking about positioning? Are they speaking about the HIPAA certificate? Are they talking about that? Are they considering all the other factors I told you about? Those things are important for you when you choose a provider.
Great. I think that's awesome. And thank you so much again for speaking with us and for making yourself available. I know you have a very busy schedule. I'm looking forward to speaking again. That's your contact information. For those watching, please do not hesitate. As we said before, Barak is on the advisory board, so he's happy to answer any questions that you have. Any current members and any new members that may be just joining us, welcome. Um, Tune in next time for another webinar in a couple weeks' time that we'll be doing.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I will also, if you're watching it and you're part of the Private Dentist Alliance, and you want a copy of my book that I'll send you, not like PDF, I'll send you by mail. Just reach out to me, and I'll gladly, as a member, send you one. Also, if you want a report that covers those steps, that's in dentometrics.com/report, and you can get it free of charge. And again, I won't charge you for that as well. Just reach out to me and I'll send you a copy if you are a member. Sorry to interrupt you again.
No worries. Thank you so much again, Barak. We look forward to speaking again. To those of our members that are watching this, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you more. Tune in for more information coming your way, as well as a launch of our new platform on TradeWing. We're very excited about the Knowledge Center being dropped. More information to come on that. As for the rest of us, please have a great rest of your evening and take care.
Thank you.